Okay, I am continuing my flight from Yakima to my landing zone in Malaga, which is near Wenatchee, Washington. And it's a pretty short flight. I think it's only going to wind up taking us about 45 minutes total. And I've already done, not quite half of it, I don't think. The video before this one, the flight segment before this one, I should say, because who knows what order I'll release them in, shows my flight through the Yakima River Canyon, which I think is kind of interesting, and I hope you do too. And I hope you'll look it up, check it out. And this one I'm flying through the Kittitas Valley, and I'm going to eventually go over the hills over by the wind generating station, wind turbines. I don't know why I keep calling them wind generators, but that is what they are. But well, they're not generating wind, so they're wind turbines is what they are. We get a lot of power in this part of Washington from wind and hydro. Those are two primary power sources here. So our power is renewable. It's kind of almost guilt-free power. And it's also very cheap, which is really great if you live here. So there's a wind turbines behind us, which you could see in the last video, and then there's some more in front of us. I'm not going to go up through them. I'll go along the freeway. I'm making a shortcut to get to the freeway now. Kittitas Valley is mostly farmland. They grow a lot of alfalfa here. I see dairy cows down below, and I will maybe smell them momentarily. There's really not too much in the way of orchards right here, but on the hillsides maybe. I see one way back there. Mostly, it looks like mostly row crops, probably a lot of corn and maybe some wheat. And definitely alfalfa. I know they grow a lot of alfalfa here. The main city here is Ellensburg, which is not quite as big as Wenatchee, where the area where I live. It takes about, it takes about an hour and 45 minutes to drive from Wenatchee to Ellensburg. It takes about, less than 30 minutes to fly it if you go direct. Direct would be over those hills. Actually, over those hills. I'm going like perpendicular to direct. I'm looking up there and saying, what are those windmills doing there? It's because I'm pointing the wrong direction. It should be that way. And I know they're not windmills. Sorry. We all call them windmills. Let's face it, we call them windmills. You can see some small canals here. There's a larger canal there. Looks like it goes through the hillside. This freeway down here is I-90. If you follow it in this direction, it'll take you to Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, and let me think where else. Into Montana probably. You know, it goes through the panhandle of Idaho. And if you go the other way, it takes you to Seattle. You can see this line here, it's a road now. You can see it used to be, well, I can see that it used to be a train track. And the way you can tell that is because of the way it's built up so that it has no dips in it. If it was just a road, it would have dips in it. But you can see where it's built up. There's no train tracks on there now. That was probably an old one. The area off to our right, in fact I should probably say closer to the freeway, is a restricted area. And I'm not allowed to fly in there unless it's inactive, I get permission, things like that. So this road down here probably goes along near the perimeter of the restricted area.
The nose is going to pitch up. I'm pushing forward.
Light listen.
I'm going to take that off, that trim out of there.
Yeah, they're both pushing the mic button all the way, push to talk. And they're broadcasting their flight lesson to us. That's pretty funny. That's probably in Ellsberg. They have a flight school there. So this wind turbines here off to the side, that's the, I believe it's called the Wild Horse wind generating station. And they have a visitor center on top of the ridge, which I don't know if it's open right now with the virus and all, but once it is open, if you're ever in the area, I highly recommend it. You just drive up the road up to the visitor center. They've got a wind turbine blade lying on its side. You can see how big they are. Walk right up to it, see what it's like. Inside, they've got a lot of interpretive exhibits. And then if you're there at the right time, you might want to check ahead. You can actually get a tour that takes you right up to the base of one of the wind turbines, and they actually open up a little door and you can look up. They don't take you upstairs, but they do let you see what's going on in there, which is kind of neat. So I recommend that. That's a really cool thing to do. So now we're at the top of the ridge. I think the elevation here is something like maybe 2,500 feet. We're about 3,000 right now, which makes sense. And it's all downhill from here. It's probably getting a little windy, a little bumpy. At the bottom of this hill is the Columbia River.
Moses Lake traffic, 29 kilos leaving Mizey Field. We'll enter a 45 for left downwind 16 Moses Lake.
So Moses Lake is out ahead of us. That's what that guy's calling from. A lot of the, there are several different common traffic advisory frequencies. The one I'm tuned into right now is Wenatchee's. It's 123.0. It's also the same as Ellensburg. And apparently it's also the same for Moses Lake. That would not be the Moses Lake International Airport there, where all the Boeings are sitting. There's another little airport there, and it's probably that one. I've never actually flown into that one. So I'm descending at about 500 feet per minute. Not a big deal.
Moses Lake traffic, 29 kilo. Instead of a 45, we'll enter a left base for 16. Moses Lake, entering left base.
So with common traffic advisory frequency, everyone just says what they're doing. And then you listen as you're approaching, or if you're in the area, you listen, and then if you're in the area, you give it your own call, where you are, what you're doing. And then if it turns out there might be a conflict, then the two pilots will just talk it out and not hit each other. And it works surprisingly well, especially if the airspace is not too congested. If the airspace is congested, then they usually, often, all the time, they usually put a tower there. Wenatchee does not have a tower, even though it has airline service. A lot of people think that's weird, but I can think of at least 2 other airports that are in the same boat. So when you're flying into one of these little airports like Wenatchee, the pilot is not talking to the tower. He's probably talking to folks in Seattle, and then he'll switch over to the common traffic advisory frequency, make the same calls that we do. And again, to mention, well, I'm getting into the area now that I flew with Nick. We flew in one of my videos, well, I'm thinking it's either number 4 or 5, the Nick Over the Rocks videos I did with him. We flew into Vantage, and we actually searched for and found a petrified log sticking out of the ground. And that's one of the highlights. And he talks about the petrified forest out here and things like that. That would be off to our left. So coming up on the Columbia River, you can see it up ahead. You can see the bridge crossing it at Vantage. The Columbia is an extremely long river. It starts in Canada, comes down into Washington state, does a lot of twisting and turning along the way, and they have put in dams along the way, so it's basically a series of lakes. And up at this point, this is Wanapum Lake, which is held in place by the Wanapum Dam, which is downstream from here. Then there's one more dam, called the Priest Rapids Dam, that also does not have locks. So these lakes are not, you can go boating in these lakes, but you can't go from this lake to the next lake by boat. There's no locks. The Priest Rapids Dam is the first one without locks. The ones from then on, going downriver, all have locks, and from then on going upriver do not have locks. So then you've got these basically just regular old lakes. So this is Vantage, and in the Nick on the Rocks video after the one at Vantage, which I actually haven't published yet, I have to edit it. We go further downriver from here, and we see some cool things that get Nick really excited. So I really should probably do that one. Whether or not it comes out before this one, I don't know. You got to look through the list of videos. I have a separate playlist for Nick Over the Rocks, so they're easy to find. A lot of people boating today. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. And I'm going to turn upriver. This area is prone to windiness, but I don't see too much wind on the water, so I'm thinking we're going to be spared. I see a little bit more up ahead, but we'll see. I'm not going to try to find that petrified wood log, because number one, it probably would take me too long, and I do have a time constraint. And number two, there's a good chance I won't find it. And number three, heck, go watch the other video. I found it already. We found it already. So before there was a dam behind us, this was just river, and the water level was much lower. And when it was lower, the road that went along the river on the other side came down to the river's edge, and if you look straight ahead, you'll see a road that looks like it goes down the hill and goes right into the river. That was the old road, and what they did, which is kind of cool, is they turned the end of it that's in the water now, they turned it into a boat ramp. So let's go look at that. I've actually put my boat in the water there before. It's a really, well, it's a much nicer boat ramp now than it was. And the reason for that is that the dam behind us, they found a crack in it, which freaked them out, as it should. And what they did is they drew the water level down in this lake so that it was really, really low. They closed it off to boat traffic. They closed it off to all traffic. I could still fly it, but that was it. And what they did was they fixed up all the boat ramps, which was kind of nice while they had the water level down. It was down for about a year and a half, I think. So now the boat ramp's way nicer than it was. It's only one ramp, but it's nicer. But they put in a restroom down there and some shade too, which is nice. The water is managed, the river in this area is managed by the PUD, Public Utility District, because they're in charge of all the dams. And what they've done is they've created a lot of nice riverside or lakeside parks where there's a lot of boating and fishing and other opportunities, camping opportunities. And the vast majority of the stuff is free, which is really, really sweet. So not only do we have cheap power, but we've got good riverside parks. And also in the Nick videos, we go up into some of these canyons off to the left and right. So again, I'm not going to do that again today. I'm not in a hurry, but I'm not, you know, I just want to get there. But I want to go see Nick, you know. This is my 4th day flying since I got back from my winter travels. Not the longest flight though, it's one of the shorter ones. So up ahead is another community of homes. My brain is telling me it's called Sunland, but don't quote me on that. And that's accessible from a road on the top of the cliff that kind of winds down. You can see it off to the right. I don't think there are any shops or anything down there. I actually, to be honest, I've flown over it dozens of times, but I've never actually driven down there. So I don't even know what's down there, other than a lot of houses. And then there's this big island here, and I don't know why nobody does anything with it. It probably belongs to the PUD, but you'd think that people would at least try boat camping on it. Maybe because there's no shade? Some shade, there's some tall trees there. It's just kind of weird. So up ahead, on the other side of the island, you see a sandbar. And this is a really popular place. Like this weekend, that sandbar should be packed with boats. They should be anchored along there, 3 or 4 boats deep. And the problem is we got this virus. A lot of people aren't traveling, but there are some people out there. And across the river from here is the Gorge Amphitheater, but I've been past that on other videos, so you can watch it on those. I'll just go take a little buzz by these folks here. Just see how many are down here. Actually, I see tents down here, but, oh, there's a bunch of boats on the inside, on the harbor side, and they don't look like they're really socially distancing too well. And there's some people camping down here too. In the wintertime, a lot of elk come down here onto this sandbar, to this bar. We call this West Bar. It's actually more West Bar up ahead. But this is a sandbar created by the Ice Age floods, and Nick talks a lot about that in our video. This one and then the next one up. It doesn't get much use. I don't even think this one's reachable by vehicle. I think it's only reachable by the water. And then off to our right is the Quincy Lakes, which is Potholes Coulee area. And again, I'm pretty sure I've been over there in a video, so I'm not going there again. You're just gonna have to watch more of my videos if you want to see more of the area. There you go.
Orbit Skyhawk 577 Juliet, we're...
What's interesting to me, I don't know if it's still true, but I do want to follow up on it, is there is a piece of property here that's private. And I met the guy who owned it. Ooh, looks like there's somebody... Oh, I wonder if somebody... Let's see. I wonder if somebody bought it. Looks like a little bit of development down here. Let's see. See something white. Oh, the bus is still here. It looks like somebody painted the bus. I don't know what that white stuff is down there. Oh, there's people... Oh, it looks like there's people building down there. I guess he sold it. I guess he sold it. That's pretty neat. I need to find out more about those people. Either sold it or people are squatting on it. That's kind of neat, though. Okay, good. I'm a busybody from the air. Well, I can take you over Crescent Bar, I can take you over West Bar. Let's go over Crescent Bar. I've been over Crescent Bar before. Actually, I want to go look in that orchard that's been torn out. I've got one of my pilots who does cherry drying for me down in Quincy. Last year he parked in the orchard, but the orchard has since closed down, and I talked to the owner. He tore all the trees out. They're going to put houses in there. And he says we can still park the helicopter there, so I just want to see what the situation is. Wow, he really did clear it out. So this is Crescent Bar. Again, a big tourist destination in normal circumstances. It's really quiet today. They've done a lot of changes down here. This area where all these mostly mobile homes are. Little by little, that's going to be reclaimed by the state or the PUD, whoever owns this. There's a whole long story there. This campground is new. There used to be a driving range here and some shops. They tore them all out. That parking lot's new. They fixed up the docks a lot, which is neat. This is where the orchard was. He's not kidding. He tore it all out. That's so sad. Got construction trailers out there. And there is a gate. And then my pilot will be living down in this RV park for the month that he's here. And then the orchard he drives is probably about 5 miles from here. That's Crescent Bar. I see they're building more up here. These homes have incredible views right down the river. I like this one right here, off by itself. I don't know, I think this video is running kind of long, but we'll see. Still with me? You still with me? Maybe I'll have a surprise at the end. Who knows? Anything could happen.
Travis, 62055, at about 5 miles to the southeast. We'll cross midfield, better downwind for runway 2, or, yeah, here, I believe.
The train track over on the right side, that is the train from Spokane to Wenatchee, and then past Wenatchee goes up to goes out to Seattle. If you take Amtrak into Seattle from the east, you'll be on this train track. I have not done that yet. I'd like to take an Amtrak train, but we'll see. A little turbulence here. This site across the river was the site of Spanish Castle, which used to be a resort. Completely gone. When the water level is low, you can see the foundations of the old building. There were some buildings up in the hills. You can see, I don't know, I guess it was a garage that's still right on the edge of the water right now. And there were some buildings on the hillside, but we had a pretty bad fire come through there a couple of years back, and it took out basically everything that was there. Another boat ramp here. This is still the Wanapum Reservoir, Wanapum Lake. But we are coming up on another dam. We're just going to see one more on this trip. We didn't actually see the other one, but we're going to see one on this trip. That house is new. Wondering if they put grapes in here. I think they did. They've been planting a lot of grapes. Most of what's up on the hill here, I'm not sure if you can see it, are orchards. Cherries, apples, maybe pears, maybe apricots, and probably mostly cherries and apples. The reason why it's stuttering the radio is because it's line of sight, and right now there's a hill between us and where this guy is, so he's stuttering. This is Lower Moses Coulee here, and we go up the coulee in, oh gosh, I'm thinking it's the third video I did with Nick, but I might be wrong. And that's a really fascinating area, and the flight was kind of neat. And I know Nick got really excited in there. Nick gets excited a lot. Nick, are you watching this? Nick, if you're watching this, make a comment. These orchards here are cherries, and I can tell they're cherries because they're completely enclosed. They do that to prevent birds from eating the cherries, and it's an extremely expensive proposition. They do reuse the netting every year, but they have to completely close it to keep the birds out. So you don't find too many orchards doing it, but I see this one here and that one up there.
30.
And that one over there looks like it had been partially covered. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know if they picked it yet. It seems pretty early. And I'm flying over some serious wires right here. And again, the safest place to fly over any power lines is over at the tower, because they can't have wires above the tower. So that's why I'm above the tower there. And here is a small plane. I don't know if he sees me. Flash area traffic helicopter 34 Delta is flying up the river. Showing 1,200 feet. I see an airplane in front of me a little bit higher. Yes, I don't know if you can see him, but I'm going to go past behind him. Well, actually, no, I want to go over the dam. Wenatchee traffic to the fixed wing plane approaching the Rock Island Dam. Either he has no radio or he's...
Having 62055 base runway 30. Hey, helicopter, those guys are probably on a different frequency.
Yeah, that's affirmative. He's coming up the river. I'm lower than him. I should be no factor. I was just trying to warn him so he doesn't get freaked out seeing me.
Yeah, there's about 6 of them, so...
Where's the helicopter? What location do you have? This is Satavia, red and white.
Okay, I am just coming up on the Rock Island Dam, coming upriver, and I'm showing 1,200 feet.
Okay, yeah, I'm up ahead of you here. I'm almost Alcoa.
Yeah, there's a blue and white one that I was a little worried about. He's a beam me now.
He'll come up on this creek here shortly.
Okay, so here's the Rock Island Dam. And they're letting a lot of water out. Not all the floodgates, but a lot of them. A lot of snow melt from the mountains. Yeah, I see one plane there. I see one way over there. That must be the Alcoa one. So I was talking earlier about the pilots talking on the common traffic advisory frequency to avoid hitting each other. This is a perfect example. We're just talking, and I was trying to tell that guy I was here so he wouldn't freak out when he saw me, so I could get a little closer maybe. I'm pretty far right now. But he's not on frequency. I don't know what he's listening to. Should be listening to this, but whatever. Not required. Not required. So Wenatchee Airport's right in front of us, but we're not going there. We're going back to my summer LZ, and we'll probably go direct. And they're not this low, so I'm not worried about them. This giant factory here was Alcoa. I assume it still belongs to Alcoa, but they closed it down, put a lot of people out of work. That happened about maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, at least 4 years ago. So I don't know what they're doing in there. Let's see if there's even any cars.
Wenatchee area traffic seen at 677 Whiskey Hotel over Alcoa at 1750. See the helicopter going up the river. See inbound for landing in Wenatchee.
Yeah, Wenatchee traffic helicopter 34 Delta. I'm going to be turning off to Malaga here. I'm going to stay low level, so I shouldn't be a factor. I'm going to have a landing zone over at Malaga. So he's going to cross over the top of me to go to the airport. That's one of the reasons I fly low. Lower than airplanes for sure. It's just to stay out of their way. The rules are avoid the flow of fixed wing traffic, and the best way you can avoid them is just to stay below them, or you're not going to stay above them, so.
Well, just fun.
Had a blast.
Right on. Yeah.
Have a good one, guys.
Take care, Cass.
Bye, guys. Thanks for the fun trip.
Okay, so I got power lines here, power lines there, and power lines I have to cross before I land. I see my approach. I don't like coming in this way. I usually go around and past my house, but this time I'm just going to land direct because I'm done for the day. So I'm going to come over these power lines, past the junkyard, the giant junkyards, stay clear of the wires, and I'm reducing power, lowering the collective, pulling back on the cyclic ever so gently, slow me down while well, right now I'm holding altitude, but I do want to descend. Now what is right here and looks like a runway, geez, I hope that's not where these little planes are going. What looks like a runway right here is a runway. This is a dirt strip privately owned by one of my neighbors, and he has very kindly let me park here for the summer. And that keeps me away from my own regular neighborhood pretty much. And there's my truck just where I left it. I'm pulling in, get a lot of wind. Pull up a little bit further than I did last time. And that's it.